Welcome to Max Life Now. I'm Chris Stevenson. He's Daniel Zykaj. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Let's start with the name itself, Max Life Now, because everyone wants to live life to the maximum. We all want to be able to take our families on trips, to send our kids to the best schools, to have a decent retirement. So when I say that name, Max Life Now, what does that mean to you?
That means to literally take your life to the maximum, take it to the next level. It means a lot of things to a lot of people, sort of like financial freedom means a lot of things to a lot of people. And, you know, a lot of money means a lot of things to a lot of people. A lot of money to me is probably totally different than a lot of money to somebody in Mexico.
But the important thing, and a lot of people have said this, it's not an original concept, is that money is really a symbol. Money is an idea. And what that idea is the idea of freedom, to not be tied to an alarm clock, to not be tied to a schedule, to have the freedom to be able to work when you want, so that if you have a family crisis or you want to take your kids on a trip, or if you want to be able to, see the sunrise, you can do that without being chained to a job, which a lot of people say means J-O-B, just over broke.
Well, that's absolutely true. The system, Chris, was never designed for people to get rich. Nobody ever told you go to school, get good grades so you can get a good job with benefits and become wealthy. It was designed for you to live a comfortable life to some extent, but it was never designed for you to be wealthy or have all the freedom in your life that you want, because you think about the average person on a Sunday night after having Saturday and Sunday off. What are they thinking about Sunday after 3 p.m.?
Going back to work.
Right. I better hurry up and get to bed because I got to wake up early tomorrow, fight traffic, and get to work.
Well, I heard an interesting statistic one time. It said that there are more heart attacks Monday morning at 9 a.m. than any other time during the week, because people hate their jobs and their routine and the grind so much that instead of facing it one more day, they just check out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Les Brown talks about that quite a bit, and it's overwhelming. I mean, the evidence itself, I was looking at some numbers myself actually the other day as I was redoing our presentation, our company presentation, and here it is. It's called the 40-40-40 plan. You're familiar with that, I'm sure.
No.
Okay, so here's the average person, right? They're told to go to school, like our parents all taught us, go to school, get good grades so you can get a good job with benefits, and you can live out the rest of your life.
One of those probably is 40 years.
40 years.
Oh, there you go.
Right, 40 years. So 40 years, 40 hours a week for 40 years, and then you retire with 40% of your income that you could barely live off of in the first place.
That doesn't sound very good at all.
Well, here's the numbers from the Social Security Administration. For every 100 people today that are age 65 or older, the top 5% of those 100 people, so 5 people, one is financially free, meaning they're not living some crazy millionaire lifestyle, but they have enough in the bank to not worry about bills, and they can have a comfortable retirement.
That sounds so good.
That's the American dream, if you will. But only 1 out of 100 people that have worked for the last 40 years actually reach that. Let's look at the rest of them. 4 are financially fit, meaning they're on a budget, they're making it happen, and they're not really too worried about the bills. Most of the bills are covered. Now, this is after working 45 years, mind you. 5 are still working. 28 are not even alive anymore. They're not even with us anymore. And 62 are flat broke.
I don't want that for me and my family. I know you don't want that for you and your family, but there is a better way. In fact, today's Martin Luther King Day, and we were talking about what that means. It means freedom. It means justice, equality, equal rights, equal opportunities for all. We live in the United States of America. It's the greatest country on earth because it is the land of opportunity. And some people, they don't even know what it says in the Declaration of Independence. So I want to read just a little bit of that. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. So this is when America declared its separation and independence from the British Empire. And this is the part that people always quote. It says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, that's it. So we want to live, not be a slave to an alarm clock or to a paycheck. And of course, you do what you got to do to survive. But there is a better way, and we want to talk about that. What is life? What is liberty? What is the pursuit of happiness? Wouldn't it be great to not have to worry about getting to work on time, fighting traffic, dealing with politics at the office? What if you could have the perfect job? And it's not a job. It's financial freedom. What would that look like for you? You'd want to have fun. You'd want to make a difference. You'd want to give back. You'd want to be able to help people in your family. You'd want to be able to travel, maybe go back to school and get a degree, to do all of the things that you can't do right now because every day from 9 to 5 or whatever shift you work, you have to be at that job, just over broke. And that's how you and I met, Daniel, is talking about this concept of entrepreneurship. Because the people who are rich, the people who have a completely different mindset, they don't have jobs. People like Robert Kiyosaki, the great American industrialists like Henry Ford. I mean, they know what it takes to have financial freedom. And one of the key concepts is leverage. And when you have leverage, you're making money. You have residual income that's coming in, whether you go to work, whether you have a job or not. And that's really the secret.
And I've been blessed enough to have some residual incomes coming in. And, I'm glad that at 17 years old, I joined the direct sales, the network marketing industry. And that's really where I learned that whole concept.
And you're a young guy. You're only, what, 29, 30?
28.
28, so even
28.
Younger. Yeah. I think it's because you're so mature. I said you were 29 or 30.
Right.
But you're off to a good start.
At 28, I think I've just been blessed enough to be at the right place at the right time, learn a lot of the information that I learned and I heard going to these network marketing meetings and events and things like that with a specific company in the telecom industry back 10 years ago now. Let
me just stop for a minute because some people hear that term network marketing and right away they're like, uh-oh, bells and whistles, red flag goes up because they think it's something that it's not. But the network marketing industry is actually, not only is it legitimate, it's thriving and it's booming. It's an entirely new business model. If you took network marketing as a whole, Dan, what would that represent in dollars?
$176 billion last year.
$176 billion just last year.
Well, let's put that in perspective. To make $176 billion last year, you would have to take the NFL, National Football League. Mm-hmm. You'd have to take the entire movie industry, all of Hollywood.
Seahawks and Patriots in the Super Bowl, by the way, but go ahead.
Absolutely. And then you'd also have to add the music industry to it to total $176 billion. So this industry of ours...
Let me say that one more time. So it's the NFL, it's the music industry, and what was the other one?
The movie industry.
The movie industry, which is gigantic. All three of those combined, and network marketing still exceeds all of them.
Well, all of them combined fall about $5 billion short of what network marketing did last year.
There you go. So this is a huge deal. And unfortunately, people associate network marketing with, they say, oh, it's a pyramid scheme, but it's not. I mean, how could it possibly be a $176 billion industry if it was illegal? It's not. It's not pyramid schemes. It's network marketing. Huge difference, Dan.
Big difference. Well, it's all regulated by the FTC, so from that standpoint, it's on the up and up. It's legitimate. The government does have some regulation in place to make sure that there's good companies out there. And, of course, you're always going to have your bad. It's just part of life, part of the world. You have your good and bad there. But for the most part, I'd say 99% of the companies out there are legitimate, good companies to get involved with, to take a look at. And at the very least, throw your hat in the ring. Give it a shot.
Well, here's the thing. It's an entirely different business model because moving forward in the 21st century, what a lot of people don't realize is that the entire economy, the entire global economy is moving toward performance. It's a performance-based economy. Instead of trading hours for dollars, it's based on what you do, not how much time you put in. And by the way, I don't want to trade my life away. My time is precious. I want to spend time with my wife, with my daughter, just like we all do. We all want that for ourselves. But the entire world economy is shifting to performance. And that being the case, why not set yourself financially free?
Absolutely. And, that's the nice thing about direct sales, network marketing, MLM, whatever you want to call that industry. At the end of the day, it's network marketing, right? That's the thing with the network marketing industry. It's all performance-based. So the nice thing about it is you can get involved usually for a very nominal fee. You can earn while you learn the business.
I want to stop right there. Get involved for a nominal fee because I was doing some research. And by the way, you're listening to Max Life Now. He's Daniel Zykaj. I'm Chris Stevenson. You can reach out to us. Do we have a phone number or website where people can go to? It's maxlifenow.com.
Absolutely.
So you can get all the information on our products and services and programs, and you can reach out to us personally, and we'll talk about that more at the end of the show. But there's this whole idea of performance-based economy.
What we're talking about, how the direct sales and network marketing industry is truly performance-based. It's not bias. It doesn't matter what your background is, where you come from. All that matters is, can you make it happen? And you will get paid accordingly. So you get paid based on production. They tell you what the compensation plan looks like right off the bat, right when you get started. They don't say, if you do this. They say, do this, we'll pay you this. There's no leeway there. There's no shakiness in that compensation structure. It's basically, you produce, you get paid X amount per amount of production. So, for example, I've been involved in 5 different companies now. They all have a different compensation plan, but the bottom line is all these compensation plans are designed for one thing. They're designed to pay you.
There's no cap.
There's no cap on your income, absolutely. There's never a cap on your income because there's no cap on your production.
And of course, the more you make, the more they make, so they will encourage you to make as much as you possibly can.
Absolutely. And that's the nice thing about it is the more my distributors and my agents in my organization make, the better I do. So I have an incentive now not to be their boss and yell at them, but to help them make more money and help them get better at what they do and better themselves and better their lives.
And that goes back to the concepts of leverage and residual income, because if you're working for a set wage and you work 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week or 60 hours a week, the human body can only take so much. You can only trade so many hours of your life for so many dollars working in an employer-employee kind of system. But with this, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So that's where the real beauty of this is that you're making more money than you could ever make by yourself just earning a wage. And I remembered my earlier point. My earlier point was that we were talking about how you can get involved in network marketing for a nominal fee. I was doing research on what it takes to start a typical franchise. For example, let's say you want to open up one McDonald's restaurant. One McDonald's restaurant is anywhere between $600,000 and $1.5 million. And Ray Kroc was the one who said, we're not in the hamburger business, we're in the real estate business. And if you look at McDonald's, they're on every street corner. I think no one owns more physical property than McDonald's, aside from the Catholic Church, right? They have the most. But the bottom line is, I don't have $600,000 to $1.5 million to start a McDonald's restaurant. And frankly, I don't think I would want to anyway. But I love the concept of being able to get into a good, solid, reputable network marketing company and then start to build that organization and having a residual income. And at the same time, not only making money, but helping people to improve the quality of their lives.
Absolutely. And you talked about the concept of trading time for dollars. So let's just kind of put that in perspective as well. Let's say that you are a machine. You don't get tired. You don't have family problems. You don't need to do anything else in your life. You don't eat. You don't sleep. You just work. There's only 168 hours in a week.
And by the way, with the way technology's going and robots and artificial intelligence, a lot of jobs are being eliminated, which is another good reason to get involved in network marketing in the first place.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right
there. So if you trade your entire week.
So the average U.S. worker today makes about $10 an hour.
$10 an hour.
That's average.
That's the average in the United States.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, how can you raise a family on that? You can't.
It's tough. But over 70% of Americans, that's what they make.
I would say this, even if you can do it, I don't think most people would want to do that because the quality of life has to be very poor.
Absolutely. So, again, going back to that concept of 168 hours a week, 24 hours a day times 7 days, you run the numbers, 168, you get paid like the average American does at $10 an hour. That's only $1,680 before taxes. And we all know that W-2 employees literally get feathered and tarred when it comes to the tax system.
Oh, it's terrible.
So they're only going home with about 40% of that at the end of the week.
40%. I mean, to me, maybe I'm wrong about this, and I don't want to get into a big political discussion, but to me, that sounds a lot like socialism. In the land of the free and the home of the brave. But listen, folks, that's where we're headed. I just want to keep it real here. Mm-hmm. So I think the bottom line is that smart people who want the best for their families, you need to get ahead of that curve. So as we're moving more and more in a socialistic direction in terms of the tax structure, trading hours for dollars, a very limited number of dollars, you need to start changing your mindset. And network marketing is so much about mindset. And it starts with people like Robert Kiyosaki in the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series who say, look, the wealthy, they understand this. And that's what Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad taught him, is to say, look, there's a model in the cash flow quadrant where they talk about
EBS and I quadrant,
which is, being an employee, being a business owner, which is just owning your job.
Right.
And then there's a step beyond that,
which is the investor side of that quadrant, as well as the real business owner, big business owner, which is really what a network marketer is, because they have the ability to truly leverage and scale their business without any limitation. So, going back to that concept of leverage, right? We talked about if you're a robot and you don't take any breaks, you're working 168 hours a week.
Which, of course, isn't going to happen.
Right.
And even if you did, $1,600 after taxes is not much.
That might be enough to live okay. You might be able to afford a decent house.
But you wouldn't have a life because you're working all week.
Well, you wouldn't have a life, or you wouldn't be able to sleep. So it's impossible. But I'm just making a point, right? So the point is, let's say that I have an organization within a network marketing company that has, let's say 300 people in it. And I've built organizations of thousands of people. So 300 is very feasible. It's very doable for the average person as long as they're willing to learn it.
And keep in mind, you don't personally necessarily enroll all of those 300 people.
Right.
You're building a team, and they're building the team, and they're building the team, and it multiplies upon itself exponentially.
You have that exponential factor, which is big business, right? So with 1,600, with 300 agents or distributors or independent business owners, whatever you've heard the terminology from before, in my organization, I have 300 people, right? Mm-hmm. So if they each put in an hour a week. Let's make it an hour a week. That week, I have 300 hours that contribute to my income.
Which is physically, humanly impossible for you to do by yourself. For
somebody by themselves. So that goes back to the concept of J. Paul Getty, one of the world's first billionaires. He said, I would much rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own, because he knew and he understood the concept of leverage. And he said that if I have to be the only one that contributes to my income, I'll never get ahead.
Well, if you look at the concept of compound interest in the bank, and I saw some crazy equation one day, it said if you started with $1, right, and you double it and double it and double it, very quickly you'd be a millionaire. So it's the concept of compound interest, of leverage, of using resources beyond ourselves. And listen, that's the way God created us. And I'm a strong Christian, and that's what I believe. But we were meant to be social beings, and that's what network marketing is. And there's another component to this, too, is that it's not just the money, which is very important. You have to have money to live in this world. But the thing that I've noticed about network marketing is that there's a sense of community. There's a sense of wanting to help each other to succeed. And not only can you make a lot of money, but you can make some good friends and actually have a lot of fun doing this.
Absolutely. And I've had a great time in my 10-year career now, made a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the industry, which for a guy that never went to college, barely finished high school, otherwise would have been impossible without me being involved in the network marketing industry. And then, as you know, at 19, I bought my restaurant, so I've owned my job before. I know what that's about. For 8 years, I owned that place.
Which is a part of the Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant. So you understand what it is to be a business owner. And I remember when we first met, you said it feels great, especially at such a young age. But even when you have that much energy and that much passion and drive, because it's your baby, it's your business. And at 19 years old, after a while, working how many hours a week?
Well, it was 8 years I had that restaurant, and I was there from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week, without a day off or vacation for 8 years straight. You just get burned out.
You get burned out. And at that age, would you rather be running around and having fun with your friends? Which, by the way, you can, because look at Dan. He's 28 years old. And like he said, he's made hundreds of thousands of dollars because of the network marketing industry. And why did he get involved? Because he experienced not just having a job, but having his own restaurant, and said, look, it's great, but I don't have a life.
Right.
I don't want to live for the restaurant. You want to have something that's going to provide you with the means to have a life, not only for yourself, but for others. Because when you reach the level of making $20, $30, $50, $100,000 a month, which people do on a regular basis all over the world, I mean, my goodness, if you're making $50,000 a month because you've built a network of distributors in a particular network marketing company, and we're not going to mention any names because we're not here to push a particular product. We're here to try to open your mind to a new way of doing things, a whole new way of living. It's a whole new economy. So this isn't about, hey, you should buy this or that. We're just saying, listen, if you think about things, look at the world with a different set of eyes and see what's possible. You will see that the whole 40-40-40 concept, which you said is 40 hours a week for 40 years to live on 40% of what you used to make in your retirement.
That's what people are retiring with, is 40% of their, whatever the number was when they retired.
And they call that the golden years?
That's the golden years,
It doesn't sound very golden.
No.
Sounds
that
more
doesn't
like,
even sound bronzy.
It's more like a tin can, like a soup can.
Right.
So listen, folks, there is another way. There's a better way. And I'll tell you something. I love what I do. But at the end of the day, I still have, it's a job. I'm not just over broke, okay? It's a great job. But here's the bottom line. If I stopped coming to this radio station every day and hosting the morning show, which is what I've been doing for almost 5 years now, and I've been in radio for a long, long time, and it's my love, it's my passion. I mean, when I was a kid, I just wanted to grow up and become Casey Kasem or some big-time radio personality. In Detroit, it was Dick Burton, it was Jim Harper, it was JJ and the Morning Crew, and I just idolized them. I thought it was the coolest thing ever to be on the radio. And you know what? I'm doing it now. But guess what? I know that eventually I'll need a means of supporting my family without coming to this radio station and having paychecks show up every 2 weeks. So even if you love what you do, you have to have a future. And I understand a lot of employers, they have 401k plans, they have stock matching. They'll match what you invest to a certain dollar amount. And that's all great. The bottom line is this. What are you going to do when you stop working? And I know for me, I don't have a lot of that right now in place. And I think a lot of Americans are probably in the same situation that I am, Dan. They don't have any savings because with the statistics that you just quoted, most people, they're broke.
And those numbers are right from the Social Security Administration.
And they have no plan for the future. So here's the thing about network marketing. Whether you're a 19-year-old kid that's getting out of the restaurant business and you want a better way, or if you're at retirement age, you can still get started in network marketing. There's no age restriction.
There's no age restriction. There's no gender restrictions. There's no glass ceiling. It doesn't matter what your background is. And we have a joke that goes something like, it doesn't matter if you came from Yale or jail, we'll take you. But
well, you got to be careful with that one because people are going to go, wait a minute.
Yeah, we don't want just anybody. We want people that have that right mindset, that are really willing to learn the information and apply the information. Because at the end of the day, who doesn't want to be a multimillionaire? That's everybody's goal and dream, is to become a multimillionaire for the most part.
Well, here's the thing, but when you say that, some people, like the Occupy movement, some people would say, well, it's the capitalist system and it's the rich taking advantage of the poor. I would just remind people and say, look, the idea of being a multimillionaire for me means that I would have the freedom to work or not work according to my choice, not because I'm forced to do that. And that freedom translates into being able to create the schedule that I want, to be able to have fun and capture those moments. Like, for example, I was going through my computer and I was looking at all the photos of my daughter Annalise and all of the dinner parties that we've had over at our house and Christmas time and birthdays and going to the beach in the summer. And I was just in tears because she's already 10 years old. And I think, man, they grow up so fast. And people said when she was first born, don't blink because she'll be 16 and driving a car before you know it. And I just think, you know what? I always want to be able to spend time with my kid right now while I can and get as many pictures and videos as I possibly can. And I know you want the same thing. And I've heard so many people say, God, I wish I could spend more time with the kids. But, mom's got to work, dad's got to work 80, 100 hours a week just to pay the mortgage and all of the bills and the car notes and all the unexpected events in life. How cool would it be, Dan, to have an emergency fund so that you have a little nest egg in the bank and there's money showing up in your bank account, residual income from your network marketing business, whether you go to work or not, to say, we have an unexpected medical expense or we have to put a new transmission in the car or whatever it is, you're prepared for it. Because a lot of people right now, here's a statistic that I heard, that most Americans are 2 weeks away or 2 paychecks away from living in the street.
From financial disaster.
From financial disaster.
Absolutely.
So you think that's not a lot of time. And if you look at some of the big-time financial advisors like Dave Ramsey, they always talk about having a 6-month emergency fund. And you go, hey, I'd love to, but life happens.
Right.
Things come up. Well, guess what? You need to start the process now of getting involved in a network marketing company. I don't care which one it is. Do your due diligence. I understand that. And again, Daniel and I, we have some ideas and concepts if you want to talk about that after the show. But as you're building momentum, when you start the activity now, and of course, it's new. You have to struggle through the newness of it. There's some skills that you have to learn. Eric Worre talks about the 7 basic skills of becoming a professional network marketer. It's a great book called Go Pro. You can find it on YouTube and listen to the whole thing as an audiobook for free. It's fantastic. And he talks about the core concepts of what it takes to not just sort of run around and tell people about your product or your service or whatever it is, your business opportunity, but to truly approach it as a professional. And Dan, there are more and more people who are approaching network marketing as a profession, as a career.
Well, absolutely. There's tons of people out there. And, you made some phenomenal points there. And I was just in awe there. I was just sitting and listening. And here's the huge disconnect, right? Where did that 40-40-40 plan? Because it worked for a while.
Which, again, is working 40 hours a week for 40 years so that you can retire on 40% of what you were making when you were working, which does not sound like fun.
Absolutely. So in 1978, here's some numbers that I pulled right from a big documentary that I watched, and the gentleman's name is escaping me right now, but it's on Netflix, and he was a financial advisor of President Reagan and President Clinton. So this guy knows his stuff, right? They actually, in 1978, Chris, the average typical male worker made $48,302 annually. The average 1%er back then made just a little over $390,000 a year.
Think about that $48,000 after taxes.
Right.
It ain't much.
Well, and that was back in 1978.
78.
So
Still, I mean,
here's 2010 numbers. So the typical male worker in 2010 made a little over $33,000 annually. The typical 1%er made a little over $1 million. That's a huge disconnect. So the difference is that those people, the 1%ers, the ones that own the businesses, right? Mm-hmm. And the old phrase goes, if you don't have a dream, or if you're not building your own dream, you're going to work for somebody else's.
Exactly.
And that's what it comes down to. But these people that have these ideas, these great business concepts, they're not bad people. They're great people. They change the world. They change the way we do business on a day-to-day basis. They have what we call disruptive ideas or disruptive technologies that make the world a better place. However,
probably the best example of that would be Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs was one of the greats. Absolutely.
Changed the world with, the iPhone and the iPod and the iPad. I mean,
got both.
Downloads, iTunes. It's like cassettes, CDs. Why? Don't need it. That's an example of a disruptive technology, but go ahead.
Absolutely. And Netflix and things like that. You don't have to go to the video store anymore.
PayPal.
Absolutely. So, there's these concepts and ideas that people have come up with. However, Steve Jobs didn't call you or I and say, hey, Dan and Chris, why don't you guys come over here and partake in Apple with me? Network marketing does that. They open the door. They have some great products, services, concepts, and ideas in the network marketing realm, and they welcome everybody to partake in that growth.
Isn't that funny? So that's probably why it's called network marketing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's kind of what I'm excited about with network marketing. It's the fact that I can take somebody that's never done sales, marketing, any of that stuff before, like yourself, right? You're a radio personality. You don't do sales. You're a radio guy.
I'm a radio guy.
But I can take you and I can bring you into my fold with network marketing, and I can teach you the skill sets as long as you're willing to learn them and apply yourself and take the time. So a year from now, I can show Chris how to really make a $20,000 to $30,000 a month residual income in a year. I dare you to go to any college in the country.
Let me slow down. Let me stop.
Teach you that.
Let me stop you right there. Mm-hmm. $20,000 to $30,000 residual income per month, which shows up whether you work or whether you don't work, because that money is coming in through the work that you've already done, building your organization, edifying them, training them, lifting up other people. It's because you say, hey, listen, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. It's okay, because that goes back to the word network. There are people, and by the way, the people that I've met in the network marketing industry have been energetic and passionate and positive, fun people who are great to be around. When I go to these events, I love hanging out with people in the industry because, they say great minds think alike. I mean, some people say that, or birds of a feather flock together. But listen, the bottom line is we're all part of the human race. This is what we all want for ourselves. And it goes back to that most glorious and holy word, which is freedom. And that's what this is all about. So we help each other. Maybe I have more communication skills. Maybe you have more business and entrepreneurship skills, Dan. Maybe the next person, they're better at talking to people one-on-one. Maybe there's somebody else who's better at getting up on a platform and addressing a large crowd. But the bottom line is, as you work and put in the daily activities, you start to pick up the traits and the characteristics of the people around you. In fact, I've heard they say that you're the average of the 5 people that you hang around the most.
Absolutely.
Well, guess what? If you're hanging around and your inner circle of friends are 5 people who are entrepreneurially focused, they're focused on freedom and having a better life and helping other people to do the same, well, guess what? That's going to rub off on you. My grandma, God rest her soul, she used to say, Chris, if you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. But the converse of that is true. Since you're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most, if you're taking in positive information and you're learning new skills and concepts to improve the quality of your life and the people around you, that's a good thing.
Absolutely. And Andrew Carnegie, he was known for picking men, for picking sharp, ambitious people. He was just known for that. He had a knack for it. And he said, when he was interviewed years after he sold American Steel, made billions and billions of dollars, I believe he was the world's first billionaire. And Andrew Carnegie said, how can you look at somebody and know what kind of mindset they have, how good they're going to do in life? Andrew said, show me their 5 closest friends, and I'll tell you where they're going to be in 5 years. Mm-hmm. And that concept just blew me away when I first learned it. So what I did was I didn't throw my friends that I had away at that time. Just because somebody doesn't have a lot of money, they're not bad people. But I started spending more time with people that, one, had the same ambitions that I had, the same level of energy that I had, and had a goal. They had a plan. They had dreams. They wanted to do something. I sat down with a guy the other day and I was talking to him about my network marketing business. And I said, do you want to travel? Do you want to give back to the community? What is it that you want to do? Because he's a retired gentleman. He's been working for 46 years, I think. After 46, he retired from Ford. And he said, I don't want to do any of that stuff. He goes, I've already traveled. I don't want to give back to the community. I said, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm out of here. Conversation over.
Right. No, I'm with you. And here's the thing. Some people, you just have to disqualify them and move on. There are folks, maybe they just have not been exposed to these concepts, and it's up to us to enlighten them and teach them. So it's not that those folks can't be coached up, because they can be coached up.
Absolutely.
But there are some people, on the other hand, who are toxic, and you just need to stay away from them, because there's a term, energy vampires. There are people that will literally suck the life right out of you.
Absolutely.
And if those are your 5 closest friends,
then you're out of luck.
You're not going too far.
You're not going to get very far, no.
So it's really sad how the term network marketing has such a negative stigma associated with it, because after I tried it myself, and I've been involved in just talking to people who don't even necessarily know which end is up when it comes to network marketing, but they know that they're looking for something, and they know that they want something different. They want something better. And I talk to these people on the phone, and you can hear it in their voice. They just light up. They're like, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Because you know what it is, and we've said this before, it's not just the money, it's the community. Network marketing, it's a community, it's a family, it's a resource. And you know what? People laugh together. They cry together. They get together with their families at events. You make new friends. So really, it's a life-enriching experience, which is what we all want. And I love Eric Worre. I mean, great personality. And if you listen to the very end of his book, Go Pro, he talks about how because of the multiple millions of dollars that he's made in network marketing, he's been able to give thousands of dollars to charities. He's been able to travel all over the world to golf in Scotland and go to Thailand and India and all these exotic places, and to experience everything that life has to offer without having to feel guilty to say, all right, well, we're going to tap into the kids' college fund so that we can take the trip of a lifetime to India. Well, guess what? When you're making $20,000 or $30,000 a month, you don't need to pilfer the kids' college fund. You can just go because you want to go, and that's the real benefit. And you say, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky dream. Mm-hmm. This is real. There are people doing this every day, because, Dan, you were saying how network marketing globally is $187 billion.
176.
$176 billion industry. So this isn't some little side thing that someone created last week.
Here's the
network marketing has been around for how long? Since what year?
That's up for debate, but early 1930s. But the Fuller Brush Company, which is officially known as a network marketing, the first network marketing company, they were around in the late 1800s.
Wow.
So it's been around a long time.
The Fuller Brush Company.
The Fuller Brush Company.
That is so funny.
But the great thing about Fuller Brush is there's several companies and company owners, big company owners like Avon and Mary Kay and Amway, that spawned. Those guys came from Fuller Brush. They were salespersons at Fuller Brush. So
that's a long way from where we're at now. But I mean, if you look, and see, here's the other thing too that I like about network marketing is that when you look at the products themselves, a lot of them are geared toward living a healthier, happier, more high quality, more purposeful life. And again, we're not here to push any particular product or service, but I think people, they want to be, of course, they want to be healthy. Of course, they want to live a long life. Of course, they want to be able to do the things that they never dreamed were possible because we were raised to work the 40-40-40 system. And we're taught that's just the way the world works. No, it's not. There's a whole other way of living, not just existing, not just surviving, but living. There's a whole other economy, and more people are waking up to this every day, Dan.
Well, President Hoover, I believe it was, whenever President Hoover was president, it was a long time ago, he said in his memoirs that he did not want a nation of thinkers. He wanted a nation of workers. So the system, ladies and gentlemen, that's out there today was not designed for you to be wealthy beyond your wildest dreams. It was designed for you to be a worker forever for 40, 50 years and retire, and maybe at some point you'd get, the pension and the benefits and the Social Security, which, by the way, Chris, you're never going to see Social Security. You know that. I'm not even going to be able to touch Social Security ever. Because
the Social Security system is disintegrating before our eyes.
They're flat broke already. They're 5 years behind as we speak.
And by the way, thank God for Google. I'm looking at the internet right now. It says the Hoover presidential term was March 4th of 1929 to March 4th of 1933. And I'm sure this is just a coincidence, he said sarcastically, tongue-in-cheek. But wasn't that at the time of the Great Depression?
That sure was. Absolutely. That ties back historically. Network marketing does well when the economy isn't. So if you look at what network marketing has done and how much it's grown over the last decade, some of the toughest economical times in history, and then you go back to the Great Depression and look at what happened there with Fuller Brush and some of those big, giant companies of today, and keep in mind, those companies are all still in business and they're multi-billion-dollar corporations today. Amway, for example, did $12 billion in sales last year.
That's billion with a B.
And they paid out close to $5 billion in commissions to distributors.
$5 billion with a B.
So the numbers are in. The network marketing industry on a daily basis is paying close to $20 million in commissions to people like you and I that are partaking in this, to people that were at one point not educated in network marketing or sales or marketing or any of those concepts, but jumped on board, learned the concepts over time.
They're learnable skills. And by the way, it's not rocket science. We're not talking about calculus here, advanced trigonometry. We're not talking about nuclear physics. We're talking about basic concepts of talking to people, creating a network, learning some basic skills. And a lot of this, Dan, has to do with your own confidence, your own mindset. You say, well, I don't have that. Guess what? Part of the training, part of getting in touch with what it takes to be a successful network marketer, it has to do with being your best version of yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's part of being an entrepreneur, period.
Being your best self, being an entrepreneur. And here's the thing. A lot of people say, and this just came to me as you were talking, they're thinking, guys, it sounds great, but I can't do it because I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to sell anything. And
I've heard that.
That's not what this is about.
I've heard that before. Well, look at it this way, right? When was the last time you watched a movie? And I'm not asking you personally, Chris, the audience out there, but I'm going to let you answer for them. When was the last time you watched a great movie, Chris?
Oh, last week.
Okay, what was the? Do you remember the title of the movie?
Yeah, it was one of the Tolkien movies, the Hobbit, the Desolation of Smaug.
Okay,
the one about the dragon.
Okay, so would you recommend for me to go and take a look at that, watch that movie?
Yeah, I think, and I know it's fantasy and that's not everyone's thing, but just the special effects and the acting and the way it's done, the story, it's so rich. So, yeah, I get lost in that stuff. I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, so you just sold me, right?
Yeah.
On this movie just because you liked it. But if I go and watch that, whoever the director of this movie is he going to send you a check?
Peter Jackson.
I doubt Pete is ever going to pick up a phone and call you and say, hey, thanks for sending me Daniel to watch that movie.
I am not getting any commissions for watching The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug.
There you go. So, that's network marketing in a nutshell. If you go out there and you find a product or service that you absolutely love and you recommend it to people that you know, friends, family, people that you come across on a day-to-day basis, coworkers, aunts, uncles, cousins, whoever, the company is going to send you a check for sending them a customer. So instead of the company actually spending billions of dollars on advertising and marketing and big PR firms and doing it that route, that's all network marketing is. They just found a way to take a product to market in a much more efficient way because a commission's only paid out, Chris, when a product is bought or sold.
And you know what's interesting is that I've always been told over the years that people always say that the best advertising is word of mouth.
Absolutely.
It's word of mouth. So just like me saying, hey, Dan, you got to check out this movie. It's awesome. It's about this dragon, and the special effects are really cool, and you're going to love it. It's totally worth the money. It's not a waste of your time. So if I tell you about a product or service that's going to improve the quality of your life, and I'm going to get paid for that at the same time, I mean, that's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, if you look at some of the wealthiest people on the planet, right? Oprah Winfrey, Tiger Woods, who else is out there? I mean, you name them, any big-time celebrity, really. But let's take Oprah Winfrey and Tiger Woods, for example. Last year, Oprah made several $100 million. Most of that money came in from her endorsements. She endorses products or services that she personally likes.
So if Oprah says it's good, then people run out and buy it.
People run out and buy it. And then the person that sells that product pays Oprah a boatload of money. Tiger Woods in 2012 was the highest paid athlete. This was before all the craziness, right?
Right. Which is really sad because the guy really was the ultimate golfer. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he's ever going to be the same. But just to look at what Tiger used to be, I mean, just the Nike endorsements alone.
In the hundreds of millions of dollars.
This is what Tiger Woods wears. He's the greatest golfer and maybe the greatest athlete on the planet because the way he trained and prepared to play golf was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. So if Tiger wore Nike X brand shoes, then people would run out and buy Nike X brand. And guess what? Nike's not just making money on that. Tiger Woods is making money on that.
Absolutely. So if you look at Tiger's earnings in 2012, right, a little over $100 million, highest paid athlete in history. No other athlete's ever made over $100 million.
That's in one year. Now, here's the thing. You and I, most people listening, they're saying not $100 million a year. If I made $100 million in my lifetime, I'd never have to work again.
Right. Well, Tiger did it in 1 year. And, if you look at where all of that money came from, over 98% of those dollars actually came in from endorsements, not golf. They had nothing to do with golf. It was Gillette, it was Nike, it was Buick. Do you really think Tiger's riding around driving a Buick?
No.
I don't think so either. He did in the commercial, but that was it. Tiger had all these endorsements, and I'm not saying that you or I have as much clout or pull as Tiger did, but we do have some.
It's the same concept on a higher level.
Absolutely.
But we can create our own universe, our own network or sphere of influence, starting with the people around us.
Right. So if you know 5 people that'll listen, that know, like, and trust you, and if you don't, we have bigger issues here, right? Everybody's got 5 people that know, like, and trust them. If you recommend the service to them, they'll buy it. And then they might know 5 people each. So now you've got 25, 30 people that have bought it, and you've got a commission check for it.
Although I will say this because a lot of people think that, I don't know enough people to sustain the development of a large enough network marketing organization to make $20,000 or $30,000 a month or more, because 5 people isn't going to get it done. But remember, I think the way Eric Worre puts it is he said, if you can get a large number of people to do a small number of tasks consistently over a long period of time, then
Absolutely.
You can make the kind of residual income that we're talking about. And another interesting thing is that with the technology that's available today, social media and YouTube and having websites and just being able to do this radio show and just to be able to shoot a video and throw it up on the internet where thousands and potentially millions of people can see it, not just in Detroit or Michigan or the United States, but all over the world. What do you think that does in terms of building credibility, building a presence, and expanding people who are saying, yeah, I like that message. I like what Chris and Dan had to say. I want to get involved in what they're doing. Well, guess what? We can train you how to do the same thing. You can start to create your own network marketing, not just company or business, but a presence. Yes, in person. It's very important to get together with people, but using technology to leverage that and speed up the process.
Absolutely. And, my mentor, a gentleman that's been in the industry a little over 25 years, you met him, Bill Hoffman.
Great guy.
Bill's made over $40 million in commissions.
$40 million in network marketing.
In 25 years.
And this is a guy from Toledo. You say, oh, he must be like an Ivy League scholar or New York, LA, Chicago. No, he's a guy from Toledo, made $40 million in network marketing.
$40 million in network marketing. He was in the industry when he was an active distributor before the internet existed.
And this is your mentor.
This is my mentor. This is a gentleman that I've worked with over the last 3 years, and he's one of my 5, the 5 people you surround yourself with.
And in a sense, I could say he's kind of my mentor too, because he's shared some nuggets of wisdom with me. I've had phone conversations with him and in person at some of the events. So great guy. But anyway, go ahead.
So with Bill, he built this thing before the internet. And he had, at his peak in the industry as a distributor, he had over 185,000 distributors in his organization.
Okay, wait, stop. Think about that number for a minute. 185,000 people, human beings, in his organization. But let me ask you this, and I know you're probably going to say this anyway. Did Bill Hoffman personally sponsor all 185,000 people? Because that sounds humanly impossible.
Not even close. Not even close. Bill actually, I know the number, it's 176 people.
Okay, so out of 176 people...
Over 5 years.
Over 5 years, to be fair, that Bill personally sponsored, which if you do the math, 186 divided by 5, what is that? It's not much.
35.
35 people a year. Okay, just in the course of, and we're not necessarily talking about your immediate family or whatever it is, but just in the course of being out in the world, talking to people that you meet and people that you've known over the course of your own experience, 35 people a year. What was the number, 186?
176.
176. And that translated to, because of the exponential multiplication of the work of other people doing the same thing, 185,000 people in his organization. And that's how Bill was able to make $40 million in network marketing.
In commissions. And at that time, they sold travel. They were the first company.
Wait a minute, commissions. So he wasn't trading hours of his life for dollars.
Absolutely not.
That wasn't getting a paycheck every 2 weeks.
No.
That's in commissions.
Commission checks, absolutely. You got commission, you got residual, you got upfront monies that come in, as well as a residual income. So Bill was with that company for a little less than 10 years, almost a full decade. That company actually decided to sell out and go public and do some different things. The point there is, though, Bill still to this day collects a paycheck or a commission check or a residual check, whatever you want to call it, from that company.
So it keeps going and going
and
going.
he hasn't been involved in it in over 10 years.
And you know what's interesting to me is that we're talking about providing for your family now and in the future, leaving a legacy because we're all going to go home someday and be with God or whatever you believe. But here's the thing. Ian is Bill Hoffman's son, and he's, 19, 20 years old?
19.
He's 19 years old, and so he has grown up around his father watching the development of these various network marketing companies, and now he's doing the same thing. So not only has Bill provided for Ian, he's also providing for Ian's children, and in the sense of residual income, but also because Bill has taught Ian the skills to do network marketing, and now he's doing that himself.
Absolutely. Well, here's the funny story about that, and I know our audience doesn't know Bill or Ian, but the funny thing is, Ian went off to college. His mother, Bill's wife,
University of Toledo,
made him go to college. She said, you need to go. You need a degree.
Especially mom,
right? Because she's not a networker. She's not an entrepreneur. She's a stay-at-home mom.
Play it safe. Have something to fall back on.
Exactly.
Do the 40-40-40, work 40 hours a week for 40 years, and then retire on 40% of what you made when you were working. So just have a good, stable job. But JOB is just over broke. This is the system that we live in. So mom's saying go to school, which is good. Education is good.
Yeah, Ian kind of bought into the concept. He said, well, Dad didn't really do that, but I'll do it. I'll go to college. All my friends are going to college. He succumbed to the peer pressure, if you will. So he did. He went to the University of Toledo for one semester, but he had already started network marketing about a year before that, and while he was still in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So a year into it, he had found a company that we're all a part of today. But
let me just back up for a second, because I think that's interesting to say that Ian started network marketing while he was still in high school, because this is something you can do part-time or full-time. So you can do your schoolwork, not neglect your grades or your academic achievements, and you can do it and just learn the skills and do it part-time as you can. But go ahead.
Well, I love telling Ian's story because there's so many millennials out there, Chris, that are just lost. That's my generation. I'm 28 years old. Anybody between 18 and 34, 35 years old fall into that Gen X, Gen Y,
Gen X and Gen Y and millennials.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you've got all of these people out there that bought into that 40-40-40 concept, that go to school concept.
We're raised, we're programmed, we're conditioned to go to school. We're told to get good grades. Why? So we can graduate and do what? Get a good job.
And be a good employee.
And just do what you're told and then work for 40 years so you can retire on 40% of what you made while you were working, which is a plan, but it's not the best plan.
It's a plan, and it's what we call industrial age thinking. We're now in the information technology age. Those concepts are no longer applicable.
And not only is it the information and technology age, it's also performance-based because the economy has switched. So think about that. We went from industrial, working for somebody else, And now we're talking about sharing information and technology, and we're making money based on performance, not based on trading hours for dollars.
Absolutely. So you've got, with Ian, went over to University of Toledo one semester in. He had started making some serious money in the network marketing industry. At 19, he was already doing a little over $10,000 a month at that time.
Wait a minute. He's in high school, 19 years old, or just out of high school?
Just out of high school, first semester of college.
And how much money did you say?
A little over $10,000 a month.
$10,000 a month, not a year, a month.
And they were talking to him about, are you going to continue college? What are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to take the second semester off. And his mother had a fit. She said, absolutely not.
Right.
But he was so inundated with network marketing. He was so intrigued by the fact that at his age, he was making that kind of income.
Absolutely.
And anybody, I mean,
who wouldn't be?
$10,000 a month is good for
That's
anybody.
huge.
Age doesn't matter there, but he was doing pretty well. So he said, I'm going to take this semester off, really focus on my network marketing business. So he did. And he, obviously, because he put more time into it, it worked better, made more money.
Sure.
So his parents are having a heck of a time now.
Let me just stop you for a second there, because you said he put more into it because he started to see some results. I mean, fantastic results. And so he poured himself into it even more and did even better. I mean, that's the thing about it. People will spend years of their lives, and this is great. Thank God for doctors. Thank God for professionals, teachers, attorneys. We need those people. But they will spend countless hours and years sacrificing to get that degree so they can have that good job. And listen, I understand those are critical functions, and there's nothing wrong with those professions at all. But what I'm saying is that if people would spend that kind of time and effort, a fraction of that, to learn the skills of network marketing, to hone your craft and understand what it takes, just like Ian did, the more you put into it, like anything else, the more you get out of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like going to the gym. You go to the gym 3 days a week for 6 months, you're going to see some results. You're not going to look like Arnold in his heyday, but you're going to see some results. Now you apply yourself and go 5 days a week for the next 6 months, you're going to see even more results. So it's the same concept. There's no difference.
And let's not forget, as you perfect the skill set, and there's always more to learn, but Malcolm Gladwell had a book called Blink. Was it Blink, or there was
The
another
Outliers?
one? Tipping Point. But
Tipping Point.
One of his books, he says it takes 10,000 hours.
The Outliers.
The Outliers, to become an expert. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that works out to be about 7 years. So think about how many years of college and internship and grad school and master's degrees and PhD and all the rest of it to become a physician in the Western medical culture. I mean, what are you talking about, 10 years?
Here in the United States, we were actually talking about this last night. I have a young guy that's going to medical school now that's part of our organization. It's about 10 years.
Okay, so listen, you can ramp up and become a world-class network marketer in less time than it takes to become a physician. And you say, well, wait a minute, 7 years, that's a long time. I have to take care of my family now. But guess what? You can make money as you're learning, Dan.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest things, I was just running some numbers on my calculator here, take that 10,000 hours and collapse those time frames. You can do it in 2-3 years or less, because it's just a matter of how much time do you want to put into it. If you're doing it part-time, it'll take about 7 years.
And remember, it's not you're collapsing the time frame and shortening that distance to the finish line, so to speak, where you're at a place of financial freedom and you have that residual career level income coming in, because it's not only you doing the work. You learn and you teach, and you learn and you teach.
Right.
And you're lifting up, you're edifying, and you're training, and you're coaching up your team. So you're not just doing all the work by yourself. That's what a job is. This isn't just another job. You're doing the work. You're becoming the best version of yourself. You're learning the skills it takes to become a professional network marketer, and you're teaching the same skills to your team, so you start to take advantage of that leverage.
There's a lot more that we can talk about, but I think our time is up. We went about a half hour over.
Let's just finish up and say, if folks want to reach out, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm going to put the links right here. We're going to put this out on YouTube, Facebook, all the social media facets that exist.
The bottom line is that you got the information. Listen with your ears. I mean, we both put on our best suits today, and that's fine, but we want you to get the concept.
Absolutely.
Have that light bulb go on over your head and say, you know what? There's a better way. There's a better way than just trading away the hours of my life, which is the most precious gift we have. And to be able to get to a place where we can, right now, in a relatively short period of time, get to a place of financial freedom. So links at the bottom of the screen. Check it out. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'd love to help you. The show is called Max life now, because we all, right now, not later, max life now. And what's that old saying that the journey of 1,000 miles begins
With the very